My last episode of this podcast, particularly the YouTube version, went viral. Okay, all right, not really viral by internet standards. I didn't break the internet. But prior to this, my most popular episode had about 2,000 views. And my most recent episode, as of this recording, sits right at about 8,500 views and is still climbing. And today I'll tell you why. Well, to be honest, I kind of wish it weren't so. All on the way to answering the question, do you like the idea that you might never vote again? Welcome to the Sky Pilot podcast that explores questions of faith, spirituality, and religion. I'm Dan Matthews, and I don't have all the answers, but I do enjoy the questions. Welcome to the podcast where every question is an invitation into a spiritual quest, and you're invited along for the journey. Hi, I'm Dan, this is Quark, and we're your co-pilots for today's spiritual adventure. Okay, I feel like I should start this episode by, telling you a little bit about myself. My name's Dan Matthews. I'm a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household, and I'm a seminary-educated, ordained minister.
So you're wanting people to know your credentials, is that it?
Yeah. No, that's not really. I want to offer people my context, because when it comes to faith, I really don't think credentials hold very much water, do they? Never have I ever heard someone say about someone else, you know, what she's saying is really bizarre, incomprehensible, and maybe a little strange to me, but her credentials are amazing, so I believe whatever she says. So my context may help place my next admission. There's nothing I enjoy more than teaching. I love to take a portion of Scripture and point out something that you may have never heard before or never seen before. I enjoy taking a word like, the word saved and doing a deep dive into its use in modern Christianity and then comparing that to the way it was actually used in Scripture. Matter of fact, one of my recent episodes did just that. I like taking someone like Mary Magdalene and telling her story, her real story, not the one that has been twisted and reshaped through church history, mostly by one particular member of our church history, but he had a lot of power, and he retold her story in a way that wasn't true. I love telling her real story. Now, having said that, my most recent episode was about the NAR, the New Apostolic Reformation, and if you've not seen it, you can watch or listen to it after this, or you can do your own research. Just look them up on Wikipedia. You'll get enough information there to start your own investigation. In short, I told about this group who has very specific goals through the upcoming election and actually through all elections. Their goals, mostly is to take over 7 aspects of society. Just understand that those 7 cover pretty much all aspects of life. They want to take over and rule culture, arts, education, and most importantly, they want to take over, change, and permanently rule government. Interestingly, though my most recent episode was my most popular by far on YouTube, it's not where my heart and passion really are. I'd much rather be teaching, but I was reading about this group fairly recently, and the more I read, the more I was concerned. How had I not heard about them before? I mean, the Speaker of the House has been openly connected to them, and they are a driving force behind Trump's run for the White House. Are they bigger than Christian nationalism? I've been asked that one a lot recently. No. But look, Christian nationalism is just a bunch of right-wing extremists using Christianity to give their disturbing politics an air of legitimacy. Many of the Christian nationalists have little understanding of the Bible or Christian faith as it existed and developed over the past 2,000 years, and even less of an understanding of the actual teachings of Jesus.
One of them is running for president, I think.
Yeah, it appears so. The New Apostolic Reformation isn't as large nor noticeable as Christian nationalism, but they are the ones who've read the Bible and are attempting to offer theological underpinnings to give Christian nationalism a veneer of, theological legitimacy. So I created the video, my last video, because it didn't look to me like anyone else was addressing this and talking about it, at least not on YouTube, and I thought it was important. I thought someone should speak up. Look, I am not a conspiracy theorist, not even remotely. I believe The shootings at Sandy Hook Elementary School, I believe those really took place. The landing on the moon, I believe that took place too.
How about space aliens?
Here or somewhere else out there. Let me just say, I think that you are probably as close as I will ever come to seeing an actual space alien. Oh, birds? I believe birds are real too.
Okay, you have lost it. What on earth are you talking about?
Yeah, there is a joke conspiracy theory that started in 2017 that birds aren't real.
If they aren't real, what are they?
Well, in short, the creator of this one created it to show how easily conspiracy theories catch on. So he put it out on the internet, the theory that the government has replaced all real birds with fake ones. Drones, in essence, with the purpose of spying on us. And people, way too many people, bought it and lapped it up.
Voice key incorrect.
Voice key.
Voice key incorrect.
Wait a second.
So anyway, we've gotten way off track. Back to my last video. I got a lot of feedback after that video that really fell into 4 kind of distinct primary categories. Category 1, people would say something along the lines of, all Christians are stupid, brainwashed, evil minions of a malignant blight called religion.
Oh my.
Yeah, since I moved my podcast over to video format on YouTube, it's really surprised me the number of anti-religion, anti-Christianity people who seem to enjoy responding to oddly religious and Christian videos on YouTube. Now, to be fair, I don't think most of them actually watch the videos they are responding to. I think they're just responding to the thumbnail and the title. The irony here is that comments, any comments placed beneath a video, help promote that video that is being commented upon. So every time they leave an angry and toxic comment, they promote the video they hate. Second type of comment I received, I never knew this at all. Thanks for bringing it to light. Needless to say, I really liked those comments. Third, I knew this and I've been waiting for someone to bring it to light. Yeah, I liked those too. Fourth comment, I haven't heard any of this before, therefore it isn't real and you made it up. Look, I knew that there would be religion haters and NAR deniers responding in the comments when I made the video last time. My hope was that there would be enough people who found the episode helpful and informative, well, to make creating it worthwhile. So here was the plan. I would make my video and then I'd be done. Time to go back to teaching. I'm not really the strident, prophetic personality type of guy. And then, since my last video came out, something new has happened. First, since I read a lot about Christianity, a lot about spirituality, a lot about religion, I get notices sent to me, when there's news-related stories that's happening in one of those areas. So a news-related story to Christianity or faith. And I received several recently that told me that Donald Trump had admitted that he isn't a Christian.
Oh, that would be news.
It would. But it wasn't until several days later that I even watched the clip that people were citing. And this is one of those where he says something and people are claiming he said something else. So in the clip, he says either I'm a Christian or I'm not Christian. He kind of slurs over the words, to be perfectly honest.
Well, my beautiful Christians, I love you Christians, I'm a Christian.
Look, I want to say 2 things here. First, there isn't anything here that's exciting. There isn't a smoking gun. It's just a slur of poorly enunciated words. But we aren't done. Far more important is what he says just before those slurred words. I'm shocked that people who are concerned about Donald Trump running for office, again, I'm shocked that they fixated on the fact that it may have said, I'm not a Christian, because I want you to listen to the words he said just seconds before he said that.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote.
Christians, get out and vote. Just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. You know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. So here I go again, sounding the prophetic alarm. This is absolutely terrifying stuff. Look, I listened to the clip where people claim that he said, "I'm not Christian." I think he stumbled. I don't think that's what he intended to say. I've listened to it several times, and I just don't. And you know what? Whether or not Donald Trump professes Christianity, goes to church ever, or is a total fraud about his faith is of very little interest to me. What is of interest to me is what he says he will do if he's elected. First, he has said more than once that if he's elected, he will be a dictator.
Just to clarify, hasn't he said that he will be a dictator for one day?
Yeah, that's true. Well, let me say this about that. Have you ever known anyone in history of dictatorships who grabbed power and then held it for a single day and relinquished it? Ever? Also remember that dictator by definition means taking away power or voice from some person or some people so you rule. So your decisions, your power will be absolute and unquestioned. Second, what does interest me is when someone says he will be a dictator and he's running for office. Yeah, I listen. I believe him. I take him seriously. And then I want to know what he says that's going to look like once he gets into office. Well, he just told us, you will never have to vote again. Doesn't sound like dictator for just a day, does it? Now, let me say, I know many people who are defending what he said here. He didn't mean what he seemed to be saying, they argue. Well, let me allow the words of a Trump supporter taken from a Fox News interview to respond to this. This is a guy in the military who's saying why so many people, as well as he, why they support Trump, why they believe in Trump. He says, and I quote him, and I'm going to let you see the clip in just a second. He says, because Trump says what he means and means what he says.
You know, I think he says what he means and he means what he says, and he doesn't mince words, he doesn't beat around the bush, and he's the type of guy we need as our commander-in-chief.
Okay, that is an ardent supporter telling us about Trump. When he says something, the supporter is telling us, believe him, because he means it. Look, this isn't a pro-Democrat, anti-Republican episode. If you're a Donald Trump supporter, First, I give you credit for sticking with this video up until this point. I want to ask you, though, to evaluate this statement by Donald Trump using the following yardstick. If it were said by someone, well, in the other party, other than the one you support, would it merit notice? Warrant conversation and questions? Would it send cold chills down your spine if it were said by a Democrat running for president? Either this is something that is fine for either candidate to say, or it is absolutely inappropriate, and I would say utterly terrifying for either candidate to say. And that's the reason I started this episode telling you about myself. I want you to know I'm a Christian. I'm an ordained minister, but I don't want a theocracy. I don't want a government run by any religion, even mine. And I hope and I pray that you don't either. And that's all for today. When someone tells me he will take away my vote, I believe him, and I hope you believe him too.
Okay, before we go, and just for the sake of argument, one more question. Wouldn't Jesus want us to use the power of government to, say, help the spread of Christianity?
All right, that's fair. Let's dive back in for a moment, and I appreciate you're asking that question just so we can address it. First, Jesus seemed to be the first supporter of separation of church and state in the history of Christianity. Jesus himself said, "Render unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's." Those are his words. Also, there's not a single place in the New Testament where Jesus encourages using worldly political structures to achieve our faith, our religious goals. Again, my primary concern is this. If we were to do that, use the structures of government for the purpose of advancing Christianity, whose version of Christianity would we advance? Because pretty quickly, that becomes a dictatorship. And dictatorships place the opinions of one person on top. Everyone else's isn't even secondary. Everyone else's desires, everyone else's beliefs don't matter. Everyone else loses their choice, loses their vote. That's why democracy and the separation of church and state are so fundamental and essential to the exercise of religion, free religion, in our country. If you think there has been any merit to this episode, or that someone else might find this interesting or educational, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, or even leave a comment, or just share this episode with someone who you know might be interested. It's how you can use your voice to guide YouTube to make sure videos like this get seen. Now let's hope a day is coming when there is nothing like this to speak out on, and I can go back to teaching about faith and spirituality and retire the concerned prophetic voice that I have had to adopt recently. And on your spiritual journey, may you ask questions, seek answers, and boldly go wherever the quest takes you. Thanks for joining us here today and being part of the SkyPilot Faith Quest community. This is a great place to ask questions you wouldn't feel comfortable or safe asking in other places. And remember, the sign of a strong faith, solid religion, or healthy spiritual journey is not certainty, but that you keep asking questions.